Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Banter Blitz with yours truly, Jan Gustafsson. It's been a while, I'm excited to be back. And I'm not that excited about crushing you all, but I certainly should try because if I remember correctly, didn't go so well last time. You know the format, challenge me to a game of 3-minute chess or 5-minute chess, and we shall play a friendly game of chess where I'll talk about either the game or whatever else enters my mind. Before we start though, I should mention a very sad thing. The great Mark Dvoretsky has passed away, I guess most of you heard, I think last week. And yeah, it was shocking to me because he was just, or in my mind, just here like 2 months ago in Hamburg, and it's just unreal that all of a sudden he's gone. So it's very, very sad. He leaves a fantastic legacy. If you haven't done it, or by all means, read all of his books. It's what I grew up with, this positional play. I'm sure I've read like, I don't know, 10, 15 times. So check those out. And yeah, I'm very, very sorry to hear that about Mark. Of course, makes me feel very strange because I was hanging out with him, going for lunch with him, and I feel like, yeah, could have spent more time with him. Or, yeah, I don't know, been nicer, like not rush him during these video series. So it's just a very sad time for the chess community. But I guess life goes on. And we shall move on with this Banter Blitz show. Let me check if the sound is on. Probably should have done that before starting. But I haven't done this for a while, so I need to get back into the groove. Is that the expression? I think that's the expression. I've been busy parenting. My daughter is more than a month old already. So yeah, not the usual information about TV shows and so on. I've been doing grown-up stuff, which I don't know, maybe I have to grow up now at age, whatever age I am. Changing diapers, talking to banks and real estate and I don't know. Yeah, all kinds of nonsense. I'm moving in we're moving in I don't know, 2 weeks. So life is changing. Growing up, moving to a house in the suburbs, all that good stuff. Can't tell you that much about Luke Cage or Narcos, but I'll catch up. Let's play chess. I didn't prepare my opening address. Let's get this going. I'll play Mr. Timberale. Is that the correct pronunciation? Timberale? Timberale. And I shall go for the move 1 e4. It's not my best first move, or my second best first move, or my third best move, but it's a first move. e4 d5. He goes for the Scandinavian. Not the greatest of openings, but it has many supporters, like our friend David Smurden. I believe he just wrote a book about this knight ed knight f6 and bishop g4 shady gambit, Portuguese variation or something. Then of course there's John Bartholomew raving about the virtues of going back with the queen here, losing a couple tempi. And there's also this move queen d6, which is championed by Tiviakov, I believe. Kramnik played it occasionally in a couple of Blitz games, so there's many a line within the Scandinavian. Still not very logical to me why you would bring the queen out, but of course Magnus Carlsen does it once in a while against Mr. Fabiano Caruana as well. So, a lot of action in this Scandinavian. And good news for Timberale is I know absolutely nothing about all of this. So I'm on my own after a6. What can we do? g3 looks like a move. h3 looks like a move. Knight e5 looks like a move. So many options. Bishop c4 looked like a move. Maybe bishop c4 is logical. I do not know. Problem with this immediate knight e5 is I am slightly concerned about him going c5, undermining this knight, but I thought maybe I have bishop c4, e6, and then something, worst case scenario, bishop to e3. He goes b5. It's a little, stops bishop c4, but it's a little committal positionally, if that makes any sense. I have a feeling I should go a4, provoke him to go b4, and then take it from there. And what I would like to do is after b4 to put my bishop on c4. Not sure that works, but I am well known for being a fearless attacking player, sacrificing pieces left, right, and center. Therefore, no surprise that I do this just on intuition. bc3, knight f7. Seemed decent to me, but I don't have a clue. e6, let's leave everything hanging and try to attack this rook now. I kind of want to get the queen to a more active position before going knight to e2. I'm hoping to provoke c6, I think. c6 would probably be wrong. Might be more circumspect to go rook a7, preparing bishop to b7. There he goes, rook a7, Timber crushing it. Don't you hate it when they make good moves? Tempted to once again sacrifice with bishop f4 or something, but nah. Knight e4 looks like a move. What's happening here? Knight takes, queen f7, king d8, and then something. Or just take back. That's why I thought I can do this without thinking much. Queen d4, knight f6 looked good, and after knight takes e4, I have a choice between queen f7, queen e4, or maybe even knight takes f7. So it all looked pretty tempting. Queen d8. Now knight g5 would be the normal reaction, putting pressure on this guy. What else is there? Knight f7 might be a bit too much. Bishop g5 is fine, but he goes bishop e7. No, I believe this is... but he has c5. Complicated. What I'm saying is knight g5, bishop b... no. The problem is he would like to go bishop b7, attacking my queen. But with bishop b7, he's going to block his rook on a7. Therefore, there's no longer c5, and the rook from a7 covers f7. Therefore, I changed my mind, and I thought this was a promising direction after realizing that with the bishop on b7, the rook can no longer go to f7. Not that c5 would have saved him from any dangers or things happening on f7, but now I believe it is real problems because there's no way to stop this construction from falling apart. Queen d4, just knight g f7. Then I also have bishop e3 with tempo. Should I need it? Else, yeah. e6 is falling. Atlantis is falling. Is that a movie? I think that's a movie. Olympus? I'll look it up. Oh, I can't look it up because then you guys see my Googling and not the chess game. How can I change that? Maybe I can Google on the other screen. Olympus has fallen is the movie, right? Yep. Queen d4, I shall take. And it is problems. Timber tries to develop, which is of course a worthy concept. Bishop e3 first or queen e6 first? Both look pretty good. Couldn't decide, so I went with this since it looks like queen e6 is not running away. Yeah, it's a bad position. It's a problem with the Scandinavian. It looks sexy and all that. Does it look sexy? It doesn't look that sexy to me. But there are dangers in like entering a direct confrontation with moves like bring your queen out and then a6. I'm not saying it's a fault of the opening, of course. I'm probably a stronger player than Timber on paper, so it's not that unnatural, but you have to be very careful when playing openings like that, not to enter a direct confrontation. Is that my point? I don't know. Anyway, it was mate. Next move. He doesn't give me the pleasure of going king g8, knight h6, and resigns. Thanks for the game, Mr. Timber Ale. let's play somebody else. But who? Still no progress in the great who-whom debate. For now I'll stick with who, wherever. And I'll ignore whom. Donato. I shall not ignore Donato. From Germany goes 1 e4. I'll play 1 e5. That always struck me as a very solid move. Maintaining space in the center. Knight f3, knight c6, and he attacks me by going bishop b5. This position, my main weapon is, and always has been, the Marshal. I've never been much of a Berlin guy because I don't fancy these endgames that much, and I always look for like moves to spice it up, play for a win here, like knight ge7, g6, knight d4, but I'm never very happy with any of those, so normally I tend to come back to my nonsense. 3 f5, I also looked at once. Do we have a new... I heard something that we're gonna have a video series about 3 f5. Might want to check that out, but in general, yeah. I tend to come back to my reliable, but boringish Marshal schemes. Of course, you don't have to play the Marshal. When you reach this position, you can go for many a main line. The Breyer, d6, knight b8, the what's called Zaitsev, d6, bishop b7, which our boy Svidler has been playing recently. The good old Chigorin, d6, knight a5. There's many choices. Donato goes d3, not the main moves, c3 or h3. And d3 normally is a bit of a concession because white cannot go d4 in one go. However, it does stop me from doing any Marshal-related activities, so I'll play sort of a Chigorin setup. Next moves are at least easy for both sides. You go rook e8, h6, knight c6, bishop e6, or bishop f8. Then have a look around. But it's a very valid play plan, whatever, for white as well, with plenty of options. Magnus Carlsen likes playing some similar positions sometimes, I think. What a move order does he go? No, maybe it's a different move order, but similar structures. I've seen some Carlsen Aronian game and so on. So yeah, nothing much has happened. Often a question is, can white get in d4 or can black get in d5, a4? I should go bishop e6. I've made all the preparatory moves. There's no knight g5. And of course I have to stop the threat of ab, followed by rook takes a8, which I would like to meet with queen takes a8. Now if Donato, that's not a turtle by the way, right? That's Donatello. If Donato does nothing, I might be ready to go d6, d5, grab space in the center, but he could and maybe should play d4. When often black's best bet is to exchange everything on d4, play something like rook c8, accepting a weakness on d6, but in return gaining some sort of active piece play. At least that's my current hunch. And he does go d4. I'll take once, that's for sure. Now, yeah, he's threatening d5, of course, you don't want to allow that. I have a feeling something like takes, rook c8, still a theoretical-ish position. Knight b4 could be a move, leaving more play in the position as well. This looks a little nicer for white, and maybe it is. I'm not sure if I mixed up something, but often these things are tolerable for black. If you can get in a quick d5, followed by bishop c5, let's say, and that's what I'll try to do. I'm aware c5 was on priest, but I don't think he has time for ab, or at least I hope he doesn't. There's bishop c5, there's de4. There's all kinds of active operations that I could embark on. Is that English? I don't know. I was expecting bishop d2 instead of bishop d3, trying to finish development. Not 100% sure, as usual, as to what's going on. Here's e5. Fair enough. Could start with bishop c5, or I could start with knight d7. I think I'll start with this one, because then, depending on where the queen goes, I might have knight h5 after queen f4. Not sure I like knight h5 that much, but it might be a legal move. Knight h5, queen f3, queen h4 is what I'm contemplating. But I don't like it all that much. Maybe I don't like my position all that much. I thought I was playing so instructively. Here I am, not liking where that got me. Okay, let's do it. Ooh, this looks really bad. Should have gone knight d7. This looks strange. Okay, time to focus. Queen f3 is sort of the only decent move. Queen h4 was my deep plan. But I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Like, I might be able to jump here, but what that gains me is far from clear. So I'm kind of messing around, to be honest with you. And I like being honest with you. Fearless, this Donato character. Where do I put my rook? d8 or e7? Probably d8. Not sure. Here's a pawn up. I hope I have some play, some t4, pushing the pawn up the board and so on. But he has knight g4, which I was also a little concerned about, attacking my poor knight. Couldn't say anything better than retreating here. So far in trouble. And looks like I'm continuing my recent Banter Blitz policy of losing all the games. Should change that at some point, so you guys don't lose respect for my great chess abilities. Nah, but it's far from over. Actually, yeah, I still have a feeling I have some sort of compensation here. And it's a messy position. However, I am not sure if my play will inspire many followers. Give me that pawn, though. It's the focused face again. I'm calculating queen e2, bishop h3, goes queen g3, but that at least is a concession. Now I am better. Donato got scared. Yeah, now all of a sudden it's equal material. I have the two bishops, I have more active pieces, so it's a very pleasant situation. And he has to fight for immediate survival. Not sure, I should have started with rook d3. I could also have gone something like rook b8. But this looks fairly pleasant as well. Bishop c3, but I can take, no? Yeah, bishop c1 I thought, but it's not pleasant as mentioned. Interesting game where I think I might have ended up in a bit of trouble somewhere around here. It didn't feel like I was doing things right, but then, yeah, I got the upper hand when we got short on time. Let's play somebody else. I see many questions in the chat when my part 3 of my series on the Nimzo will be ready. The honest answer is I do not know. I have been working on it. I am aware some of you out there are waiting for it. I want to get it done very much as well. A lot of stuff been happening, but yeah, I shouldn't give deadlines because I never live up to them. I'm well aware of it and I'm working on it. Here I'm working on crushing Scandic Dunk, who plays this line where I had a very embarrassing Bundesliga game against my old friend Falco Meyer, who's a good player, but still I should have crushed Falco Meyer and it was a draw after I sacrificed like 18 pawns in the first couple moves after knight bd7. So not proud of that. The main move here is c5 and that's what I'll go with in this game. dc5, now I'm out of book. What do you do after dc5? e6 looks logical, d4 also looks logical. I'm guessing this is Scandic Dunk's home turf. He's analyzed all these sub-variations many a time. Well, I'm out of book, but I like my position. how bad can be? He can't go knight b5 after, let's say, gf because of queen a5 check. And if the knight has to retreat, it's a little sad. So I would guess he has to go knight a4 or knight e4. But after either, I thought I should get some nice central control and then get my pawn back on c5. So not too worried. Slightly worried. You can try to hang on to the pawn with b4, but then a5, normally black is in time to undermine this construction. Let's say a3. Either b6 immediately or exchange a bunch of things, then go knight c6 and go b6 in due time, which is what I'm going to do. It tends to be hard to keep all this under control, but I'm going to have to prove that claim. And how is the question? Many options. f4, b6, bishop g7. I don't like bishop g7 because of knight h5. f4, here we go, knight e4, bishop f5. Yeah, it looks intriguing. I'm not sure if this was best at all, but I still have a feeling I should have a pretty good position here. Because it seems easier to get my pieces into play than for him to get his pieces into play. Still, very weird position. Expecting knight d6 check, or I believe he should go knight d6 check, because everything else my lead in development might get a little overwhelming, like f3 maybe, but it's an ugly move to make. We'll find out. Knight d2. He does not want to give me his pawns. I would expect a little cooperation, Scandic Dunk, at some point, but does not seem willing to work together on this me getting his pawns topic. So many options again. You know what? If in doubt, get some pieces out. That's what a wise man once said. I don't know if that's true. Many, many tempting things. DC, knight d4. I have a feeling with the bishop on this diagonal, the troubles will become even bigger. I need one more move. Castles to be fully developed. Well, black is still pretty far, white is still pretty far away from it. So I'm reasonably optimistic. Well, I would like to put his knight here, but keep moving this knight alone, knight c4 followed by knight d6, does feel a little strange as well. He does do it though. Not very concerned with developing pieces, Mr. Scandic Dunk, and I'm not blaming him. I believe this might have been the best thing to do under the circumstances. Oh, now you start developing. I did not expect this to happen. Let's punish this attempt to get pieces out. e4 immediately also looked very strong, but nothing wrong with dc as far as I can tell. Queen c3 runs into e4. Knight d6 is probably the best chance, but then once again e4 seemed very strong. If knight takes f5, ef. And I'm threatening checkmate on d2, which looks like a minor inconvenience for Scandic Dunk. What does Scandic Dunk stand for? Ah, it's a play on his first name, Duncan. Goes e4. Probably he's not aware that I'm aware of the en passant rule, but I am. I could play a little more vigorously Knight takes b4, queen c3. Nah. He's getting a bit closer to castling, which annoys me, but I think he's not close enough. Bishop somewhere, let's say bishop c4, I'll go e4, and his house of cards shall collapse. So yeah, I think I'm winning. Scandic Dunk is starting to realize that there will be blood. That's just no good move. You can try b5, but then e4 looks very, very strong as well. Queen c1 I could take, or once again go e4, because this knight does not look like it has a proper square. And yeah, if it has to go back to g1, it's not a pleasant thing to do. Or I would guess it's not pleasant. It is very pleasant for me. Bishop c4. You know what? Just because I have this big sense of aesthetics. Is that a word? Prosthetics. I shall create these two pass pawns. And yeah, position is not defendable by defensible means, or the other way around. d2 is coming. Not much to say, and Scandic Dunks resigns. Interesting game, but yeah, I think I don't even know where it all went downhill for him. I believe this whole game plan of trying to hang on to the pawn with b4 is flawed. He's opening this side of the board where I'm much more ready to do business than he is, and he never quite recovered. Let's play somebody else. What about Accessor? What's Accessor? It's not this Excelsior thing. I have no idea. The thing on the picture looks like Professor, but I honestly don't know. I'll Google it. Accessor. Nah, not a lot of results. Oh, German Latin. Accessor. Ah, the Destroyer. I see. Let us destroy Mr. Accessor then. He plays the Panov. Interesting opening. Not that popular anymore at the highest of levels. Mainly because people believe that this setup with knight c6 and knight f6 is very solid after bishop g5. There's three options, all of which are held in decent regard. dc4, e6 and bishop e6. I'll go e6, the most conservative, because that's how I like to dress and play chess. But dc4, I believe, is currently probably the most popular move. e6 has more humble goals, so just go bishop e7, castles, then go dc4 when it's appropriate, and if white goes c5, once again we will get some typical fight against this white expansion on the queen side, where black has options in his toolbox like b6, like sometimes e6, e5, sometimes knight to e4. And I'm giving this broad explanation because I can't recall the theoretical details. I believe c5 is the main move in this position. We'll find out what Accessor does. He goes knight f3, I'll go bishop e7. For starters, then we'll see what he does. In general, I'm happy to take on c4 once he moves his bishop, so after bishop d3 I'll probably take, but not without it. He goes a3, I think I'll castle. Now he should go c5, yeah, that is the consistent move, also prepared by a3. And I'll go, since b6, b4, I believe white is in time to hold his, what do they call this? Queen side. I'll go for knight e4, another typical recipe in these positions. I could have mixed up my theory here, but I recall some lines where after bishop e7, you go queen e7 and then a quick knight takes c3 followed by e5. Goes bishop f4. That's a surprise. Very ambitious move, but no, maybe I am in time to go b6, no? My point is he can't go b4 because c3 would be hanging And knight e4, d4, I also win a tempo, since then f3 is hanging. While cb6 is of course possible, but concession, since I will recapture and gain time and all that. So bishop b5 looks like the logical move, but then just bishop d7 I thought, and white is faced with the same problem once again. Not sure if bishop b7 or bishop d7, but bishop d7 feels right because it sets up some potential tricks. Typical reaction is bishop b5, bishop d7 takes here, followed by knight e5. But then once again I can remove my bishop somewhere, and I don't see how white can keep the tension advantageously. Some questions about commentary in the upcoming World Championship match. It hasn't been settled yet, as far as I know, what we'll do here at Chess24. I'm sure there's talks behind the scenes and all that. And yeah, what can I say? I'd of course be delighted to do some commentary. We'll see how it plays out. I honestly do not know. Queen c2. Might have to think, but bc5 feels strong. The question is just, do I want to go knight c3 first or not? Probably not, right? bc, what does he want? Knight e4, but then de. Nah, this looks good enough. No need to throw in knight takes c3, even though that looks strong as well. But one big problem for white is that after knight e4, d4, queen e4, I have the little check on a5 picking up this bishop, which is awkward to say the least. It looks like we're headed down that road, Accessor. Careful with Mr. Bishop. He might realize what he's done now, but it's too late. Bishop c6, just bishop c6, covering e4, and the whole center is collapsing. So things are not looking good. Very typical theme that you always want to keep an eye on. This queen a5 check, hitting a bishop on b5, and the king can oftentimes be a minor inconvenience. What else is going on? Tal Memorial. What is happening in the Tal Memorial? Giri started with like 3.5 out of 4, right? Then he slowed down a bit, but shout out to Anish Giri, who also became a father, I believe, 2 days ago. Congratulations to him. So I think we can forgive him for slowing down a little bit in the tournament. Got his son on the rest day. Congratulations to Anish and Sopiko. What else is happening in the Tal Memorial? Mr. Nepomniachtchi, who I always thought was a good player, but somehow he was always stuck around 2.720. Had, I believe, the image of being a little lazy, not working so much on his openings, but he's broken into the top 10, has been doing extremely well. I believe people see him as a tactician, but someone told me, and I think they were right, that he's one of the best players in the world in just simple positions, like endgame positions. He's very, very strong, Nepomniachtchi, and he's leading like half a point ahead of Giri now. Our boy Peter Svidler is at 50%. Solid, nothing special. I'm not sure how happy he is. He lost that white game to Giri. Without that loss, it would have been a very good tournament for him. And of course, Gelfand has been the shocking story of the tournament. What's going on here? I tried to accept the challenge. I failed, apparently. Gelfand at 1 out of 7. Not sure what's happening with Boris. Maybe it's a lack of practice in super tournaments. I read his 2 books. What are they called? I'm not sure. I'm sure you can find out. They're both excellent. So I highly recommended reading the 2 Gelfand books that he recently published, with Jakob Aagaard serving as his, I don't know, ghostwriter is probably the wrong word. I think they've talked and Jakob has put Gelfand's thoughts into words. So highly recommended. But it looks like his writing has not done his chess much good so far, which is my excuse for everything too. Like all this commentary, it's really crushing my normally tremendous chess ability. And here we play Sek from Norway, or Sak, I'm not sure. Playing the fashionable Giocopiano, c3, knight f6. The boring line here is d4, even though it looks like the exciting line. But it leads to forced equality. Well, d3 is very trendy, keeping all those pieces on the board. For centuries, it feels like people have automatically played a6, bishop a7, but recently there's been a bit of a movement to maybe not do that, keep the option of going d5 in one go open. That's what I'll try this time around. Out of book, which is the usual drawback, but can't have everything. Here, one plus of having not gone a6 is that maybe it makes sense to go a5 here. If he goes a3, I'll just claim more space. a4, give me all that space. Bishop c2, d4. Normally I'm reluctant to play d4 in these structures, but it feels like with his bishop chased away to c2, this is an excellent moment to do it. He goes bishop g5, but another rule of thumb, I think we can call it a rule of thumb, is bishop g5 things aren't that scary if you can meet them with bishop e7. Because now, yeah, this pin is broken, I didn't have to weaken my structure, and I can focus on my own cruel intentions, like softening up his queenside here with a3, which attacks the pawn at the base, as we've learned. I'm not sure where we've learned that. Is this Nimzovich? I'm sure people figured it out before Nimzovich. But if you attack the pawn chain at their base, there's no other pawn backing up the b2 pawn. So these things tend to do more damage than attacking them. I don't even know all these complicated chess terms. What I do know is I have a pretty good position. Pawn up, a2 is falling. No fun for Mr. Sack. Suck. I don't know. He goes knight b3. What shall I do? Give a little check. Get a little check here. So many options. Get this check. I'll go with this one. I don't know, maybe queen c3 was even more decisive, but this is winning-ish as well. Now my queen is covered on b4, which was the point of giving that check. I could also have taken on e4, which looked winning, but you can only take one at a time, is what Mikhail Tal used to say. And people said he was both a nice guy and good at chess. What now? I'll play it simple. Should be 6 to stop bishop b3, gaining that pawn back. If I haven't miscounted, I should be like 2 pawns up with a perfectly winning position. How can I hurt your feelings even further, Mr. Suck? Probably if I keep mispronouncing your name. Let's put this bishop on c3. c3 looks like a nice little square. Covering e5, covering this pawn, leaving this Mr. Rook room to breathe. Feels like a pretty good day's work for a bishop. b6, I know, kind of a pointless move, just to stop knight c5, in case I ever need it. I kind of want to go rook a3, tackle that knight, and if it has to go to d2. No, I felt that was an accomplishment, not sure it really is. Of course I could have taken, but it's more fun to restrict it. Alright, how do we get this job done? Probably this is a good start, and then c4 next. Sooner or later, Mr. b2 should have his say. I still don't know where to look after like 50 of these Banter Blitz videos. If I look there, I stare at the chessboard. If I look here, I look at the chat or my little program that shows me how the show looks. Well, if I look here, I look at the camera. It's very tough. contrary to popular belief, I don't have a teleprompter. I understand that the high eloquence level of these shows made many people believe that it's all scripted. But there is no teleprompter in this room because we can't afford one yet. But it's the next big thing that's coming, a Ron Burgundy style teleprompter. So go premium on Chess24 to support our purchase of a teleprompter. It would go a long way of not having to listen to my rambling / mumbling, desperately looking for $5 words to sound smart. I will take all his pawns, which strikes me as smart. And Sec resigns. Thanks for the game. Where did that go wrong? Ah, yeah, I believe quite early in the opening, after queen e2, a5. To me, I don't know if there's theory here, but bishop a4 fits like a very typical move to maybe threaten bishop c6 and knight e5 in some lines and stop me from going a5, a4. That looked like a decent move. Another thing you can always do is take on d5 and maybe go a4 yourself. But yeah, I have a feeling Larmi's expansion with a4 and d4 is giving me too much space. Let's play someone else. See if I can find someone new. Always hard to do so. I know, this is everybody's favorite part of the show, especially if you're just listening and not watching, which is what I've been doing with most of my time recently. I'm obsessed with podcasts. I've listened to tons of podcasts. You can listen to them wherever you are. You don't even need to be online. You just need a smartphone, which many people carry with them. So yeah, I've been listening to loads of Comedy Bang Bang now. I'm starting Spontaneation with Paul F. Tompkins. I've listened to lots of How Did This Get Made? And the basketball season is around the corner, so I can start listening to all my basketball stuff as well. Low Post, True Hoop TV, all the good stuff. But I haven't watched that much TV, believe it or not. Let's play Mr. Master Time. Mr. Master. Mr. is my contribution. His name is just Master Time. Where is he from? From Montenegro. Goes d4. d4 always struck me as a good move. Putting this pawn on a protected square in the center. Followed up with c4. And I'll do what I tend to do. Knight f6, followed by e6. Big option here. Against me, somehow, everybody and their dogs, no, their dogs normally don't play chess, plays knight f3, followed by g3. It's been a trend I haven't been able to break. I'll play b6 for this game, a move I normally don't play, and I'm not a big fan of the Queen's Indian. First of all, theoretically, I have a feeling that after g3, white might be doing a little better. And secondly, it doesn't lead to the direct play that I typically enjoy. Here the main moves are bishop a6 or bishop b7. I'll go for this little check, which, yeah, is a sideline, but it's not dumb. My friend Mr. Vallejo likes playing it. Bishop d2, I believe, is the main move instead of knight bd2. However, that brings the problem with it. I don't know what to do after knight bd2. In general, the knight is slightly misplaced on d2 because it would rather be on c3, not blocking his bishop and contributing in the fight to the fight for the center. I'll go d5. I'm not sure if that's the right way to play the position. c5 is also logical, but I wouldn't like having to part with his bishop. Well, d5. Sometimes you get stuff like takes, let's say a3, bishop d6, and white goes knight b1, just reshuffling this knight around to c3. Which goes to show it's misplaced there, but also goes to show that the structure is still nice for white, and people are willing to play it even losing a bunch of tempi. He starts with a3, also perfectly fine. Not sure if my bishop wants to be on d6 or e7. I'll go here, actually. The problem is in the CD-ED structures, I'd rather have it on d6, but after bishop d6, I wasn't sure if b4 bothers me, maybe. Then trying to gain some space with c5. Doesn't bother me much, but it was something to keep in mind. He plays very sensibly as well. Putting my knight on d7 might look a little weird after this big speech I gave about the knight being misplaced on d2. But I never said this show was about being consistent. I have a feeling here it's important for equalizing purposes to leave my bishop unrestricted, while now after cd5 I would probably take with the bishop, not with the pawn. Might be a matter of taste, but I've never been very fond of these structures after cd5, ed5 in general. Therefore, this seems like an easier to play setup. Bit of a game of chicken here. Who wants to release the tension in the center first? Looks like the answer is neither so far. If I take here, he's gonna take with a pawn. And if I take here, he's probably gonna take with a knight. And I'm not sure if he takes with a pawn. If I take here, he could take with a knight. Questions? I don't know. But it feels logical to free this bishop's view. The most ambitious would be to take with the pawn, but then once again the knight would be slightly misplaced there. Well, knight c4 is extremely solid. Now, I guess the position is equalish, but yeah, it's gonna be tricky for me to spice it up. I shall try, however. Very hard I shall try. Not sure how he's gonna recapture. Bishop d4, you would slightly worry about this. Knight d4. Generally, one should think that this exchange of light squared bishops favors me. It's not all that clear-cut, because I have some weakish squares on the queen side now as well. I'm hoping for b4, queen a8 check, queen f3. This is pretty much my whole game plan. Even that game plan is not that deep, because I'm hoping for king f3, rook takes c4, but he probably will spot that and go knight f3, after which I achieve nothing. That's a bit sad, actually. I was so proud of my trap. And then it does not yield me anything. Now it's just a boring position, where I have to even be slightly careful about the c6 square. Not that careful, but slightly careful. I'll bring the king, I guess. Yeah, one of the things I'm not always great at is like spicing up these games when I have the black pieces, because normally spicing them up involves taking a bit of risk, which who likes to take risks? But I also keep preaching, and I do believe in that normally people do make mistakes. And I mean, not my opponents necessarily, but everybody, me included. I've made plenty in this game already. Therefore, even in quietish positions, there tends to be room for playing for a win. However, I'm not sure I'm doing a stellar job at it in this one. But normally it's too easy an excuse to say, yeah, he exchanged everything. It's more of I didn't play well. And that's what's been happening so far. Having said all that, I'm still intending to somehow win this game. Looks like he's calculated this, which is not very fair, of course. Now I might have to intend to not lose this game. I had seen that this knight was trapped, but I hadn't seen that my bishop was trapped as well. Whoa. Oh, it's just bad for me. That's impressive. After my whole speech of trying to win the game, I'm just lost now. That is weird. No tricks even? That's just strange. Because if I take here rook e7, I'm going to end up 2 pawns down. Well, bishop b4 is no better. AB, king h7. No. Kudos to him, and yeah, silly me for missing that my bishop doesn't have a square. What I'm going to do is take and go a5, but it looks lost. It is lost, actually. Just couldn't see anything better. Whoa, shocking. I thought I was doing well in that game, but I shouldn't have blitzed out king g7. Maybe king e8, I'm still in good shape. I didn't have the feeling it had gone too wrong. Yeah, I have to play king e8, of course. That was not clever. Anyway, let me try to hang in here. Rook a7. I guess I have to defend this pawn. The problem is whenever I take his knight, or well, he can take on f6, is the same story. I'll lose a pawn on this side of the board, which is not ideal. And these things tend to be lost with 4 against 2. Yeah, this is very lost. But what to do? I'll keep making moves, hope for the best. I'm not sure if it's very lost actually, at least now. Because if I can get this h-pawn in exchange for my a-pawn, then it should be a draw. And it's not going to be so easy for him to stop me from doing that. Maybe king g2 was a good move. Well, now this should end peacefully. However, I've lost such endgames in the past. And I'm sure I will continue this time-honored tradition of losing 3 versus 2 endgames. Not quite sure why I went rook h1, but yeah, there's not that much that can go wrong here, theoretically. Looks like Master Time is dedicated to flagging me though, so I should speed up a little bit. I'm also playing this terribly as usual. Why am I so bad at rook endgames? Why, world? Yeah, now it's lost. Congratulations, me. It is quite embarrassing what I can do to a rook endgame. And he flagged me. Kudos to him. And yeah, no kudos to me. That was sad. Congratulations. Oh boy. But yeah, the key moment was really, apart from my utter lack of talent in any rook endgame, the key moment was when I missed this rook d7, which I really shouldn't. Yeah. Here, I'm not sure what happens after king e8, because this knight will be stuck there for a while, and yeah, I think I'm just fine. That was very dumb. Anyway, good game to him, and let's play someone else. What about Kruch? Where is it? Yeah. Mr. Kruchikita. From España. He goes e4. I don't think I've played the Sicilian today yet, so I'll do it now. Knight f3. I'll play the Najdorf. He doesn't want me to play the Najdorf. He gives us check, which is just as trendy as playing the Najdorf itself these days, or as playing d4 itself. After knight d7, a6, somehow the trend has moved away from taking on d7 towards moves like bishop d3. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure why they stopped taking on d7. And probably something I should find out at some point. I'm sure there's a body of theory here, but I haven't really looked at it. g5. What can I do? e6 followed by bishop e7 looks natural enough. And we get some typicalish what do we call this, Marochi position. I actually like white's position, so probably my play has not been the reason why they stopped going for these types of situations. Not quite sure how to play this. Bishop c6 just to get out of the way of potential. Bishop f6 is followed by queen d6, which now doesn't make a lot of sense anymore, since I can't recapture the pawn with bishop c3 and then bishop e4. And I have to figure out where I want to put my queen, c7 or a5, and in general, what I want to do next. I do not know. Typical move for him, I go rook e1 maybe. Trying to recreate this threat of bishop f6 followed by queen d6, but it does never feel like a serious threat in these positions. b3, why not? As usual, there is the ancient question of where should we put our rooks? e8, c8, e8, d8, d8, c8. I don't know the answer. I'm not sure there is an answer, at least I don't think there's a rule of thumb. I'll go with d8, c8 if I get the chance, because it feels somehow more important to add extra support to Mr. d6. Bishop d2. Queen h5 is weirdly attractive. I'm not sure if it's any good, but it does weirdly attract me, which is reason enough to play it, I would guess. a4. He's trying to stop b5, which is a worthy pursuit. These positions are tough to understand. In general, I like being white in these Marochi structures, but I also like having the two bishops, even though they're not particularly active here. You could argue that white gave up his bad bishop, the light square bishop. It's still an important piece to contribute. For example, if we had it here, my queen wouldn't be here. In general, those are unsung heroes, the quote-unquote bad bishops in such positions. And as I give my speech, he goes for one of the most typical tactical ideas in these positions, which of course I didn't see coming, even though it's 100% standard. Knight to d5, exploiting the fact that I put my rook on d8 and not on e8. ed, of course, is the point when e7 is hanging. Don't like it, so I should probably go bishop d5, even though I could be a little worse here, because that's a nice bishop, just as I was talking about this nice bishop, to give up for this measly knight. cd or ed both come into consideration. I was slightly more afraid of cd actually, because now at least the structure is a little more, what do we call this? Asymmetrical, unbalanced, so it should hopefully give me some chances. But I still think white should be a bit better here. Knight d7, if he's mean, he could continue with that theme of exploiting my hanging bishop here by playing knight d4, even though it's kind of a pointless move. But you could do it. Instead of knight d7, aggressive natures might have gone knight g4 followed by f5. But of course, I'm more concerned about keeping the queen side under control and nonsense like that. Still, in the structure, black has to create some sort of play on the king side. And f5 feels like a logical way to do it. I want to put my bishop on f6. I keep missing knight d4. Like every chance I get, I miss knight d4. Now would have been very strong, intending to go knight to e6. But no longer shall I miss that and play bishop f6 now. Well, he follows up with his plan. Very logical. Kruchikita actually playing a very good game of creating play on the queen. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. He wants to, push pawn. I wish I had time for stuff like knight f8, knight g6, but I'm not sure I do. I'll still do it, but I'm not sure I have the time for it. Wow, my rating is really suffering these days. 2901. That's sad. Then again, I made this decision to no longer be obsessed with my Chess24 rating, and it shows in my rating. That's gonna be my excuse. But I told you guys before, I'm no longer obsessed with the writing. That's why I lost it all. No, it's just old age. But this knight might not have a lot of squares. Kruchikita played such a good game. And then all of a sudden, knight d4, the theme of this game, is no longer available. And Mr. Knight might find it a little hard to find a suitable outpost. Gimme. He tries to create some confusion by now, or not confusion, some play, by now going for this break on the queen side. But it's nice to face it with an extra piece. Still, some caution is always required. I'll get my king out of the way. Why not, right? Maybe instead of getting the king out of the way, I could have gone for knight g6, intending knight f4 immediately. But still, I should not complain too much about a position with an extra piece. A little bit, but not too much. Endgame. All right, let's do this. It's sort of an unfavorable endgame, Kruchikita, and that's why he does resign. This pawn was lost after c7, rook d7. Thank you for the game. What time is it? We still have some time. Beautiful. I shall play another noob. And by that I don't mean his rating, but the fact that I've never played him. Discover checks. Why the X? By checks, do you mean like the act of giving a check in a chess game? Do you mean checks that you can bank? Or is your first name Checks? Checks Guevara. He plays the Nimzovich Indian. Many a line have been played against the Nimzovich Indian. I'll play one of the sharper lines, and I don't play much to move for f3 here. More common, for me at least, are queen c2 or e3. f3, many lines, castles, c5, d5, b6. Not b6, I guess. What do I want to do against d5? I think I'll stick with the main line. Go a3. Bishop c3, the main move, but bishop e7 is not unheard of. Even bishop d6, I'm sure, has been tried. But the main line is bishop c3, bc, c5, cd, knight d5, dc, with a very weird structure and position. We'll see what Discover Checks wants to do. I don't know. He takes. Here once again, main line is c5 and then cd, knight d5. In general, the opinion ever since that famous game, what was it? Should know such stuff. Botvinnik Capablanca, is that if black goes for a cd-ed structure here, he's potentially worse because of white's two bishops and super strong center. That's why people normally don't go ed, even though Magnus Carlsen played it in a World Championship match against Vishy Anand, ed, e3 and c4. Didn't find many followers. And at least my opinion has always been that this structure is supposed to be nicer for white. But that might also be because that's what all the books are teaching us. And if I recall correctly, computers tend to be reasonably fine with black here after stuff like b6, bishop a6. So, by no means an unplayable line. However, it's nicer to be white. You want to go knight e2, castles, then prepare e4. Sometimes you want to go knight g3, swing this rook over, rook a2, make stuff happen. Well, for black, it's less, I don't know, descript. I don't even know if that's a word. what he should be doing. b6, bishop a6 is an obvious starting point, but after that, not so clear. Bishop b7 is out, because in general, bishop is stronger than this bishop, therefore he should have tried to exchange it by going bishop a6. Bishop b7 I do not approve of. And I'll try to punish it by going g4. You could also make a very strong case for just knight g3, preparing e4. White already has a very good position, but g4 is sort of the luxury edition. You want to prepare knight g3 by going g4, having the extra option of g5, then swing this rook over, rook a2, rook g2, and slowly suffocate black by grabbing more and more space. h6 stops g5 for now, but we will revisit that topic in the distant future, the year 2000. Always good to make Flight of the Conchords references that, first of all, aren't funny in this context, and secondly, like 2 viewers will understand. But this rook lift, this is something that attracted me as a kid. You don't have to like develop your bishop. You can lift this rook all the way over to the king side. Not sure I'm making the best moves, but I like this plan in general, so I'll stick with it. You could make case for queen c2 hitting that knight or all kinds of direct things. However, we've got nothing but time. Black has too many pieces, especially his bishop on b7 is really not doing a lot. That's why it's important to exchange it off earlier with bishop a6 if you're going to play such a line. Now the knight on h7 also does not look like the happiest of campers. Are there that many happy campers? That's another topic I'm confused about, because I don't find camping that like satisfactory. But maybe that's why the saying is he's not a happy camper. It's a more common saying than he is a happy camper. How can I improve my position to crush? Because of course I'm not willing to sacrifice a single pawn ever by going g5. I could go h5, but that's sort of not really in the spirit. f4 gives away the e4 square, also not what I want to do. Don't know what to do. I'll panic and go h5. But this is, yeah, it's the wrong way. Now he should go knight g5, sacrifice a pawn, take it from there. g5 gives my knight this very juicy square. And as I've demonstrated countless times, I'm willing to give up all these principles about bad bishops and beautiful pieces for a single pawn in like 98% of the cases. Because the ultimate goal of chess is to grab one of your opponent's pawns. Don't let people tell you otherwise. And here I have some added pluses like whatever. The pair of bishops, passed pawn, silly knights, all the good stuff. Some other players, like most other half-competent players, would have won this game by now with a crushing kingside attack. But it's as my mom always said, important is that you like it. Not sure she said that a lot. I'm almost disgusted enough with myself to go h6 check, sacrifice a pawn, but not quite. Seriously, how can I end this game without embarrassing myself and wasting your time, dear viewer? Because I might not always sound very appreciative, but I do appreciate people making the time to watch me rambling, steaming after losing games, playing very mediocre chess, while trying to explain one or two things about chess without making a lot of sense. Somehow I can't find a move here. I can't do it. I want to go e4 or h6, but both lose a pawn to go against all my core values. So I don't know what to do. Could be patient, but I don't feel like that either. basic problem is I need to activate this bishop. Ideally, you would want it on g5. Problem is bishop e1. There is rook takes e3. And that's also not to my satisfaction. So I'll just let my time run out and whine about it. Rook h8. I was expecting rook e8. I'll put this here. And now, now discover checks has sort of helped me laugh uncoordinating his pieces. That it is time to crush through in the center. I'm not very happy with the lack of violent finish in this game. But what to do? These pieces don't look very good. And as we know, or I think I know that, normally knights do not wanna have to defend each other because they take away each other's squares. I keep playing terribly, but I'll still win. Which is the ultimate goal. Play terribly and then win a game of chess. Discover checks resigns. He was running low on time. Yeah, not the best demo for this structure necessarily, but the setup is kind of important here. g4 you don't have to do, but it looked decent. Then knight g3, swing the rook over, and black should be just defenseless. The white structure and the pieces are too solid. Let's play 1-2 more games. Who knows how many? Maybe against ZM Larson. ZM Larson 7 from the Germanys. He goes 1 e4. It's time for a little g6. I'm aware I'm a favorite against ZM Larson with 1403. Normally we get some comments or angry mails to info@chess24.com. Why do I have to watch this Grandmaster crushing 1400 players to boost his ego and his rating? And I hear you, but the main goal is to give all the premium members a chance to play. And we also know that... What do we know? I don't know what we know. Bishop d2, I let that one slide. I could have taken on b2, but then knight c3, and he might have some compensation for the exchange. Instead, I will try to point out the strategic weaknesses of his setup, namely the weakness of the d4 square. So I'll exchange this knight, which was a defender of the d4 square, for my light square bishop. I love bishops, but this bishop did not contribute to the battle for the dark squares in the center. Therefore, it's a spectator and can be exchanged for this knight. Similar topic often happens in the Benoni, where black goes bishop g4, bishop f3, because the light square bishop does not contribute to the fight for the center. Now my knight is firmly established on d4, can be backed up by its colleague from c6 if needed, and I can focus on pawn break operations like a6, b5, maybe one day f5. Does he want to go b4? Not sure, but I don't want to find out, so I'll go knight c6 just to stop that and then continue. He does want to go b4. Okay, let's do it. I could, of course, stop b4 by playing a5, or maybe even by playing b5 immediately, but I had the feeling that because of my greater control of the center, this opening of the queen side should be in my favor as well. Queen c1 makes it too tempting for me to take here. Like, in general, it's a bad bishop and all that, but this is too grave a weakening of his king side that I can just let it slide, especially if I have this second knight ready to jump here. Knight d4. I'm trying to be overly instructional, putting my piece on good squares. Knight e5 was probably more direct, hitting these two, and then rook e3, bishop h6. Now I can still win with bishop h6, but king g2 was a little more tenacious. Tenacious D. Tenacious D. Is that a 90s movie? What was it? No, no, not 90s. 2006, actually. Okay. Ah, no, it's Jack Black's band? Ah, yeah, it's... Tenacious D is Jack Black's band. What's the movie? There was a movie. Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny. Haven't watched it. I should try to win this game before I lose on time. Let's make a little active move here, just in case it helps. This rook is not really running away because it has to stick around, cover f3. So I'm just trying to include all my guys into the action before cashing in. And now that knight f3 will win a queen. It's a good time to cash in. I shouldn't overly brag, as I said, about beating players that are newer to chess than I am. That's why I'm trying to at least explain some principles in these games. Like, if it's checkmate on h2, there's nothing you can do. Stuff like that. So that we all learn something. Thanks for the game, ZM Larson 7. What time is it? Still time. I keep checking the clock. Time moves so slowly when playing Banter Blitz. Nah, that's not true. I've missed doing this. I am steaming because I lost the game earlier, as I'm sure you're accustomed to. But I missed hanging out with you guys and crushing you. I don't like losing to anybody. But I'll be around. We'll do stuff. Like me dodging the question, why aren't you playing stronger opponents? Why is your part 3 of your video series not ready yet? What are you doing next? The usual kind of stuff. Let's play another strong opponent, Mr. CR. CR? The all-seeing eye? CR, some Olympic rings there. Goes knight f3, d5 instantly. Not surprised by knight f3. Not one bit surprised. It's all figured out. You go d5, then c6. Then you think for a bit. Knight f6, I don't know what I want to do. I'll go e3. The most boring move, but normally leads to a full-fledged fight here. After knight c3, bishop g7. This is the so-called Schlechter system. Black has many a choice. Do we say that? I kind of started using that expression a lot. But nothing that I found overly worrying. b6, I'm not sure what the best move is. b3, a4, b4. He still is moving instantly, pretending that he knows what he's doing here. I'm not sure what this b6, a6 business is about at all. But then again, it can't be too bad. I'll just make moves and see where that takes us. Generally white is a little better here because, blah blah, slightly more space in the center, slightly better placed knight and all that. But it's a very solid system for black. However, as a wise man, I think, who said it the other day, Tomaszewski, the price of playing solid systems is often that you are slightly worse. While if you play sharp systems, you can gain the reward of equalizing, but you can also get crushed. So nothing's for free in this world, except for, I think water is still kind of free. I don't even know if that's a true statement. It's time to do business. It's business time. My point is that after rook e8, if he goes dc4, I can sort of go bishop c4 with half a tempo because it's targeting f7. And he has to answer by playing e6, which in return should give me time to do something nasty. Or I'm not sure how nasty. But to inflict some weaknesses in the blah blah blah. I'm not very articulate today. It's sick I can't win directly with bishop e7. Very unfair. Bishop e7, queen a8, and there doesn't seem to be anything direct. So I'll put this knight here. Looks like a pretty nice square for a knight. My apologies, but kudos to myself for switching the sound off before making these disgusting noises. I'm not sure if I'm catching a cold or if I have allergies. It doesn't feel like either, really. Hang on, can I now do my bishop e7 trick? Queen c8. And I should have some move. But it's still not winning, yeah? Queen c8, knight d6, maybe it is winning. I don't know. I haven't fully counted the pieces, but I thought queen a8, knight c7, rook a1, knight a8, let's say rook f1, king f1. He can only take one, either the bishop or the knight, and I should emerge with extra material. I can also make my life a little simpler by going queen a8, rook a6, or queen c8, rook a6 actually, followed by knight c7, knight e8. So Mr. Seer is in trouble. He probably did not see this move coming. I'll go for the easy and boring option. I should have thrown in bishop f6 first. Doesn't really matter, but still a little careless, if you ask me. But an exchange is an exchange. Queen b5, just, to stop queen c6, which looked more harmonious. Now, next order of business is create a Luft. We all like Luft. And then somehow activate my rook, either via a1 or c1. Whatever works. Or maybe not activate the rook and win instantly if an opportunity arises. Seer resigns. Thanks Seer for the game. And yeah, bishop e7 was a painful trick to miss. Black is worse, but of course after bishop e7 I think it's just over. So that did wonders for my morale. Let's play one last game. Against Ema Savory. Another opponent that I outrate. I shall play e4. C5 is a good move. Knight e2 is kind of sort of a pointless move. Some guys like to goof around with it. Paco Vallejo plays it quite a bit. One point it has that is that you can go g3, bishop g2, and this bishop defends the pawn on e4. The problem, however, if I go g3 here, then black would go d5, which is not ideal. So I believe normally the knight e2 experts go knight c3. Typically knight e2 is played against Najdorf players who after knight c6 would run into d4 and can't play their beloved Najdorf anymore. But that's, I believe, the very limited amount of pluses it has over knight f3. Of course, knight f3 tends to lead to the same position, but feels like a more natural move. Now we're playing some sort of accelerated dragon, which this is a version where white has to be a little careful with his move order. You don't want to go f3 here, castles, queen d2, because then you run into d7, d5 in one go, which is not very desirable. Therefore, you have to start with bishop c4, bishop b3. Some theory here, queen a5 is a move, a5 is a move, and so on and so forth. a6 might be a move. Not sure if it is. What's wrong with a6? Knight c6 followed by e5? No, probably not. I'll go f3, but I'm not sure. f3 probably justifies a6 to some extent. Maybe I should just have castled and say you don't need a6 in these structures. Not sure. I'll make the standard dragonish moves. Queen c7 normally not a great square for the queen in these structures because of the constant knight d5 worries, either after g4, g5 or after, let's say, takes, bishop takes, and bishop takes f6. Then knight d5 could be coming. Rook d8 looks like he's preparing d5 in one go, but I have a pretty decent grip on that square for now, so I don't think that is overly realistic. maybe I should... Yeah, I think this is a good time to throw in this move. DC doesn't work because of queen takes d8. And after queen c6, I'll go g4. And my point is, if he goes b4, which looks natural, then I'll have knight d5. And it's going to be hard to take because of bishop d5. As I said that, I realized there's queen f6, so it's not that clear. But my point still stands. I'll still go knight d5. Threatening knight e7 and exploiting that knight takes d5 is not a good idea. Not sure that was best. g5 might have won on the spot. Yeah, actually did. But my position is still nice. Just got even nicer. Always watch out for this e7 pawn in these structures, Emil, and that is a very painful family fork. Since that game ended so quickly, we have time for one more. Let's play one more game d'échecs. Mr. Pokista, maybe. Pokista? Pokista. Did I play boring one knight f3 yet today? I have a feeling I haven't. Could be wrong. But I'll do it now. Better late than never. Maybe Pokista is not around. Maybe he heard me say, let's play one more game, and he thought, let's go home. Which is very understandable. I'll give him 5 seconds to change his mind. Come back to us. Else I have to find somebody else. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abort. Sorry, Pokista. Who else do I have? Or whom else? No, it's who else. Mr. Cabernet Sauvignon. Not just Cabernet, actually. Same boring knight f3 treatment, though. Goes f5. Whoa. This might become a Leningrad Dutch. Not my favorite opening, as I might have mentioned once or 100 times, because of this pawn on f5. However, blah, 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 dynamic, unbalanced, blah, blah, blah. Here knight e5 is one of these sicko lines that's objectively losing, but it leads to a sharp position. So, well, I'm not sure it's objectively losing, but I think it's supposed to be quite bad. But a lot of people like it because of its double-edged, the double-edged nature of the play that ensues. I've never really looked at it. That's maybe one fault I have. I don't study lines I know to be bad much, because I always think, okay, if I ever get this, I'll prepare, or if I ever get somebody who's been suspected of doing that, I'll prepare for it and manage to figure it out. But I've never spent much time in it. I believe black's general plan is g5, queen e8, queen h5, f4, knight g4, or bishop h3, knight g4, and checkmate. But it should not work against careful action, which you can't expect me to do. I really lost all my English speaking ability over the last month. It's all gone. The chess playing ability has been gone for a bit longer, but the language skills are deteriorating as well. What do? I don't know. Queen b3. Let's encourage him to checkmate me by moving more pieces away from the king side. Cabernet taking his time here. I'll put all my pieces on the queen side, so you have a fair shot at the jaque mate. Not sure, maybe d6 was the correct way to play. Just open the thing before he gets around to checkmating me. But who wants that? Not sure what's going on. I'm greedily trying to win one of these pawns. Well, Cabernet has not shown that obvious intentions of checkmating me yet. He might not have revealed his hand and still get around to it. But as long as he's not trying to checkmate me, I will continue my pursuit of the queenside pawns. And my pursuit of happiness. It's the last game, so it's a lot of pressure to... Nah, actually, it's not a lot of pressure. Could not even finish that sentence with anything making half sense. So, what can I tell you? It is good to be back, but it's weird. I haven't been in the studio for a while. I'll be doing stuff. Don't know what, but I'll be doing stuff. E6. All right, gimme, you know. Gimme them pawns. I'm thinking about ED. If I want to go knight d5, then he has bishop c6, but it shouldn't matter so much because I can take on f6, attacking the queen on e8. But I could do other things as well after ED, like queen takes c7. But I think I'll go knight d5. You could say he can take and then take on b2, but that feels like the wrong direction for black, somehow opening the position. I have bishop c3 check, and I probably have nastier things here. Oh yeah, just bishop c7 after bishop b2. I don't know. It's too early in the morning. Town Memorial is about to start, right? Round number 8. When does it start? 2? I'll watch a bit. Who? I keep forgetting my own whom policy. Who policy. Who is Svidler playing? He was playing Gelfand with white, maybe? I believe it was Gelfand with white. Not a great tournament for Gelfand, as we've mentioned. And today... Oh, sorry, I keep doing this. Today, if I remember correctly, the... pairings, then the favorites were all white today. And I gotta do a little business here. I'm reading the chat. Hello facepalm chess. I'll follow up on that. He says, if Jan says hello facepalm chess, I'll go premium. Gotta do that. What did I say here? I think I wanted to sacrifice an exchange in my well-known fearless style. No, I'm not making any sense, and I'm not sure there was a good sacrifice at all. But, you know. Yeah, it wasn't a very good sacrifice. Why do I do such things to myself? Let's give it a check. Let me first put up a bit of a fight and then whine about my bad fortunes and all the injustice of me not crushing every game. Crushing every game? Crushing everybody in every game. Queen h8, beautiful. But I don't want to exchange queens. Ah, you want to. Okay. Looks like we have a little conflict of interest here. I'll probably win on time, right? But I'm not very impressed with my own exchange sacrifice, to be honest with you. Okay, this maybe takes CD. Not really better there at all. Rook d7 is very worrying. Okay, let's take a break from playing terribly. I can see myself pre-steaming, like I'm anticipating something's going to go horribly wrong, and I'm steaming in advance of that horribly going wrong thing, which is probably not great psychology. It's creating self-fulfilling prophecies setting myself up for failure. Give me the pawn. Now at least I have a couple pawns and all that. Cabernet offers a draw, but that would be a bit too charitable on my part, don't you think, Cabernet? I mean, I am a pawn up and you have 1 second left, so I can't do it. But he did put up a very good fight and I played this, I don't know, very pointless exchange sacrifice, bishop c7. I like my position here. Maybe I overestimated it a little bit because this bishop is not doing very much, but bishop c7 was really a very random move, just rook c2, and I should be in good shape, or at least I thought so. But yeah, I'm not sure what made me do that. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's Banter Blitz and to our very popular segment. It's like most people are just zooming to the end to this segment. That's a lie. Of I'm sorry. What am I sorry for today? I am sorry for not having been here to do Banter Blitz for a long time, a couple of weeks. So sorry I left you guys alone, and I hope the anxiety when I will come back did not crush you. That sounds very even more self-centered than normally. So I'm sorry for my arrogance. I'm sorry for my lack of wit today. I'm not sure if it's the time of day, the lack of Banter Blitz practice, but I have a feeling I wasn't funny. I normally try very hard. Some people say too hard to be entertaining. Don't think we've reached that. See, we reached that goal today. Sorry for my disappearing linguistic abilities as well. Sorry for all you people waiting for a new video series of mine. It's not there yet. And sorry to myself for losing a game, which always sets me on great tilt. I'm sorry, even more sorry, that I could not guide you with instructive pop culture advice, because that is what I really consider to be my job on this program for the last weeks and even today, because I'm not so up to date. I think there's nothing good in the cinema. I heard there's 2 movies I want to watch, but they're not really recent or that recent. I want to watch The Lobster. I heard The Lobster is very good. And I want to watch Swiss Army Man, which I've heard described as imagine that Harry Potter had made it to college and starts taking drugs. So Swiss Army Man sounds very tempting. Those are the 2 movies I want to watch. I've read reviews about Luke Cage, which is out on Netflix, that were very full of praise. I've seen the first 2 episodes and enjoyed it. So I'll keep you posted on that. I've watched a bit of a comedy show called The League. It's sort of dumb background noise, but very enjoyable. Some of my favorite people in there, like Jason Mantzoukas and Nick Kroll. Very funny stuff, or mildly funny stuff. Let's put it that way. What else am I sorry about? No, that's it. Sorry for not having done commentary on the Olympiad or the Town Memorial or any of those things. But I'll be around. I'll keep doing stuff. So that's either warning or whatever. Thank you guys for watching the show and enjoy the Town Memorial, all the upcoming shows today and the next coming days on Chess24. Sorry for all the rambling. Sorry for not interacting with the chat. Nah, I think we're done with the sorry. See you guys soon. Bye bye. Outro? No, wrong button. Scene 12? Yep. Bye bye.